we know we're going to be flying into 2025, and that's what today's meeting is about. So I won't, jump the shark. I'll go in order. Ariana, can you start the leave the singing to the professionals? Start the screen sharing, please. We've got a whole bunch of fun stuff to get through in the beginning, and then we will get into the meat and potatoes, as we say, of the meeting today. Yes, we all know don't click things you're not supposed to click. Welcome, Melinda. Melinda is live on camera. Welcome, Melinda. We are so happy to have you officially licensed and on board.
Hey.
You
What
guys,
a
I
good
will start.
example of how the headshot looks so much different from the real person. I'm not wearing any makeup, you guys.
Real life Zoom screen and the headshot. We love that comparison game. Somebody pointed out my headshot in the office recently and was like, wow, how long ago was that? And I was like, I mean, it was the last time we did photos as a team professionally. It wasn't that long ago. Welcome, Melinda. I will give Melinda major props as we get started here because she has been coming to like Daily Spark and all the learnings I've been doing since before she was even licensed. So I'm excited for you. Congratulations. I'm sure there'll be awesome stuff coming. And Raul is joining us in the commercial department. Welcome, Raul. I did not see you in the participant list today, but that's okay. Andres is joining us. He just finished getting onboarded like today, so live and fresh this week. Andres, welcome. I think we have one more. Oh, Tim. Okay, so some of you know Tim from the third floor and the Bankers Hill building. Tim, fun fact, has his real estate license and has for quite a while. And he is joining Nikki in the commercial department for Keller Williams, also like Raul. And Michael has been popping up on the Facebook page and sharing. He has also been selling in Mexico for a while. So when you have those needs over the border, one of our resources to connect with. Michael has joined Steve's mentorship group. So welcome, Michael. I think that was it. Yeah. Does anyone have a gratitude they would like to share to get us started today? Or even better, something that connects to something in the mission, vision, values, belief, and perspectives. I will point out that we started sharing this more at the front of the meeting because for all of us, old timers, any of the grandmas in the group, or grandpas, we might know that the belief system, the mission statement, the vision, values, all these things are what are at the foundation of Keller Williams cultural energy and our company as a whole. And yet, if we aren't putting them up front and center all the time, we lose track. Or for the people who haven't been with us very long, we don't ever learn them to begin with. So the beauty of this one is you've got all of them, all the MVVBP. So who has a gratitude or a place where your MVVBP came to life sometime in the past 2 weeks over Thanksgiving or something you want to share? Don't all talk at once. It gets super noisy in my ear when that happens. It's very overwhelming.
I got
I have
one.
one.
Ah! Bridget, you go first since you're driving.
Okay. So mine is for Rob Paul. He was holding one of my listings open and it wasn't very crowded, unfortunately, but he took it upon himself to get these obnoxious stickers that my client's teenager had all over his door off to make it look better. He just did it. And now for his good karma, he's got a buyer interested in the property. So fingers crossed, we're hoping to put together a deal. So thank you, Rob. You rock.
I love that. We could call that a lot of things. I'll go integrity, do the right thing, teamwork, together everyone achieves more. That's amazing. Excellent work, Rob Paul. And let's cheer on that buyer deal. I'd love to see that happen. Amy Bloom, you were next.
Yes, I have two actually. My first one is for Erica West. She has this bundle of energy that exudes from her every time you see her. I was at the office the other night and she just came bounding out the door of her office and excited and engaging and wants to collaborate. And she's just always so on it. And I love that energy of her. And then my other shout out is to Nancy Perez, because the energy and the vibe and the connection that she's recreating in our office space is just phenomenal. And I love what she's posting about the agents and how she's getting people engaged. And it's just a beautiful thing that we've missed you, Nancy. So it's just nice to have you back.
I couldn't agree more. That is so well said. Thank you, Amy and Bridget, for sharing. Erica is on a call, so she's not here. She might jump on when her call is off, but she's not sure. So I will pass along to her the good vibes you shared. Thank you all for that. And if you haven't noticed the social media, I will actually give a shout out to Mark Miller, who in our team stand-ups told me, you guys, I was locked out of Facebook, which I wanted to stay that way, but it was kind of problematic for work purposes. And so Mark gave me the secret workaround to get my password reset. And if you get that notification to get the 2 authenticating factors going on your page, just do it. Don't wait for them to lock you out, because apparently they actually will. And then you have to figure out your password to get back in. So thank you, Mark Miller. Shout out to you as well. Go ahead, Ari. I want to do the beep, like in the, speaking of Gen X, like the film strip, beep, flip the film strip ahead. No? Okay. Broker Bob, do you want to talk to us about your Command Your Business? You are hosting in person the workshop, Get the Work Done.
Yes, I invite you all. I think I have a few more classes toward the end of the year. This is a workshop. Bring your computers, bring your phone, bring your command, because we're going to show you how to add 6 more deals every year if you have 100 people in your database. And it's very easy. 6 more deals. Who would like 6 more deals? Show of hands. Raise your hands. If you don't, fine, you're in the wrong business. But if you want 6 more deals next year, come to the command workshop. That's it.
Thank you, Robert. Mark Miller is hosting Mondays with Mark. Y'all, I want to give Mark a shout out on here. Is Mark on? Okay. Because he is doing these 30-minute sessions, and the agents who've been attending have been learning so much, just like getting brainstorming moments with him, workarounds, clever, creative things. Like I said, he fixed my Facebook. So what if you're newer and you are not lead generating or on an appointment in that time block on Mondays, you should be there. Just in case you weren't aware, that's where you should be. And for anybody else who wants to add that to their calendar, I would highly suggest it. The agents who've been going have been saying like, oh my gosh, it's so meaningful. So I know Mondays with Mark doesn't really give you information on like, what is it? But yeah, like Jacqueline just said, he's seeing the transactions come through and he's giving live feedback, updates, coaching, workaround, best practice for it. And it's just been great. So for anyone who wasn't sure what that is, or is it for me? Yes, it is. And like I said, if you are not on an appointment or lead generating, or it's on a time block for family or self-care time, put it in your calendar. All right, the very Merry Christmas party. Speaking of Nancy Perez's amazing social media skills and the fabulous Ariana for her reel today with backup dance moves by Nikki. Bridget, last week you brought us Jason Abrams live from Texas. This week we have Bridget live from San Diego. Bridget, talk to us about the holiday party.
Okay, guys, lots of things. I cannot believe it, but the holiday party is just over a week away. It's next Thursday, December 12th from 3 to 6. Now, I am begging you all to please RSVP. I know we're realtors. I know we love to do things last minute, but I'm ordering the food on Friday, so I absolutely need the final count by Friday. We have a decent amount, but I know some of you still haven't, so please, please, please. Now, per usual, we're going to have a lot of fun, but this year is going to be a little bit different. As you all know, we are doing a gingerbread house making competition. We are also having a sweater competition. So there are lots of ways to walk away from our office next Thursday with a prize. Now, this week we have a couple of, I think, special guests here on our Zoom. I can't see everybody right now, but our big sponsors this year are Hawthorne and Albatross, Morrison Inspections, and Old Republic Home Warranty, Mona. Now, Mona, Danny, I think you guys are on the call. It was announced last week that you are going to be the judges for the gingerbread house petition. So, Mona or Danny, are either of you available to unmute and tell us from a home inspector and a home warranty company perspective, what are you looking for in a top gingerbread house these days?
Well, Bridget, I'll respond. Just this is Danielle with Morrison Property Inspection. So I'm going to be looking for structural integrity of it and making sure it doesn't crumble if it's touched a little bit. So I would definitely make sure that it is structurally sound.
Okay, thank you so much. And Mona, what can we do to ensure that our gingerbread houses are warrantable by Old Republic? Mona, I think you're on mute. Okay, well, Mona is going to get back to us on that. I'll make sure to share that in the chat. But make sure that when you RSVP, I'm going to put the link in the chat here as soon as I can. There's 2 RSVPs, one for you to attend the event and 2 for.
We may have just lost Bridget entirely based on her connection. I'm not sure, but what she was going. Oh, there she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so basically you guys need RSVP 2 ways. 1, to attend, so I know you're coming so I can get enough food. And 2, for the gingerbread competition. We actually have a lot of people signed up for the gingerbread competition. We have, I think, 14 slots left. So please, please, please sign up so we make sure we have enough gingerbreads for teams, and teams will be picked at random at the event. So make sure you guys come. We'll see you guys next Thursday at 3 o'clock. And hey, shout out to the Culture Committee for all of their very hard work.
Thank you, Bridget and Culture Committee. And Jacqueline and I put notes in the chat on both sides of the coin. If you're like, I don't want to build a gingerbread house, I don't want to wear an ugly sweater, I don't even have one of those things, that's okay. You can come celebrate without building. You can watch and laugh and without wearing a Christmas sweater if that's your jam. Or if you're competitive and want to throw down with Jacqueline over gingerbread and structural integrity, go ahead and get on in there and compete. Either way, it's totally fine. We're here for both options. So just clarifying, if you thought I have to build a gingerbread house to come, no, you don't. You can come hang out and laugh at people. That's what I like to do. Okay, marker of the moment. That's going to be added into today's session, all about that. So we will continue on with escrow partners update. Jacqueline?
Yes, absolutely. If you have not come to see us yet, we are in Suite 201. Please drop in. Please come say hi. We would love to have you. And we're doing something a little different this week. So instead of featuring an agent, we're featuring a listing. So let me pass it over to Deb and to Dan to talk about the featured listing today. But they need to unmute.
Now to you, Deb and Dan.
Sorry, it's hard when there's 3 of us on a computer. So for those of you that don't know, Deb and I are part-time Palm Springs, part-time San Diego, and we are partnering together. And we have our first listing out in the desert at Trilogy at the Polo Club in the 55 or older section of the community. It is a beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom plus den home that's completely renovated, with a beautiful backyard, low HOA fees of $205 a month. And there is a community association that you can choose to join. And these folks are currently members of that. So instead of paying the $12,000, $13,000 to join, you can pay just a couple of $1,000s to transfer their membership. And for $199 a month, you can be very active with lots of activities throughout the community. This home is beautiful, move-in ready, and ready to go for anybody that's looking for a second home or to make this their primary property out in the desert.
Did you mention private pool?
Oh, and it does have its own private pool. The backyard is a beautiful oasis. So If anybody has somebody interested, we'd love to talk to you.
We've got it listed at $799.
$7.99. If you've got someone wants to sell in San Diego and doesn't know where they're going, maybe the desert is calling, reach out to Dan and Deb, who are part-time Palm Springs area, part-time San Diego, full-time awesome.
And if you want any other pictures, scan that QR code. That will take you out for all of the photos, all of the lovely information that Dan just went through. It's all there. So if you need that, scan the QR code and that'll take you there.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice work, escrow partners, Dan and Deb. All right, Alicia, in your 1996 headshot, what did you say it's from?
It's at least like 8 or 9 years old, and I will never change it. Look at that. Look how good I look. We need to bring the red hair back. $7.99 for that house though, Deborah and Dan. Good job. That's awesome. But let's get into some coaching shout outs. So Asia, who recently joined us just a couple months ago, opened her first escrow and she is in launch with me. And then we also have Prabhat, who just closed his first escrow. He actually just picked up the check today. So that's awesome. Keep that momentum going on that one. And we have a couple more. Of course, Sam and Yanni, they're always on here. This is a handful, you guys. They opened escrow on their own listing. They closed escrow with a buyer and they opened escrow with another buyer. But they've closed one every single month this year. And now they're set to close 2 in December, you guys. That's awesome. And last, but of course not least, our sweet own little Marlon took another listing and he's also in growth with me. That's it for this week. More to come.
That is a lot of awesome energy and updates and congratulations all around. And like Nancy's been doing with our social media, you might have seen Prabhat's amazing story live from the feed today. You might have seen Sam and Yanni the other day. If you haven't been celebrated yet, don't worry. Don't be scared of Nancy. She's going to put your face on there whether you like it or not. All right, Broker Bob, give us the update.
Thank you, Sarah. Hey, I want to remind people, so the last risk management meeting of the year is going to be 12/18. I'm going to drop in the quick summary of all the forms that are going to be changing on 12/16. Yes, the forms they changed in June and July of this year. Now they're going to do more updates as the NAR settlement came through and they've realized now that stuff is out there and it's been in practice, they realize, oh, we should have done it this way. So we'll review that on the 18th. Originally, that was going to be Ashley's stats meeting, but she's going to be doing, wait a minute, no, I'm sorry. I'm doing the risk management on the 11th and Ashley's on the 18th, sorry. So it's actually next week's meeting. So we'll be reviewing the changes that will come into your zip forms on 12/16. So you might want to attend that meeting. It will be live and in person. We'll stream it through YouTube after we get all that set up though, but you want to make sure you're there. It'll be a quick review on all the forms update. That is it. Back to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Robert. While we're on the subject of changes and details, yes, Robert's meeting is the 11th. Ashley's stats meeting last of the year is the 18th. And also, you might have already gotten an email. You might not. For anyone who's been with us for a while, you know, once a year we have that $25 profit share charge that comes through. So if you've seen that on your email, that's what it's about. No, we are not raising our fees. No, we have not changed our fee structure. No, no one's extra charging you for anything. That is a KW International thing. And the upside is that $25 is your annual cost to make sure that you have that willable, transferable, vestable, profitable pathway forever. So no alarms to be sounded. Nothing has changed. Nothing has increased. It's coming straight to you from Austin. We love you. We're so happy about it. Once a year. Yay. Any property pitches to share today? Speak now. Listings coming soon. Listings you want to share. We haven't met in 2 weeks because of Thanksgiving. If no one's listing any properties, it's a great day to have 4 ways to become a top agent in 2025 as your topic for your meeting. So let's get to that. Okay. Okay, I am not doing a PowerPoint. If you have the ability to show me your face, please do, because your boxes with your name in it are boring and lame. Unless you are naked or driving, then please don't show your face. Otherwise, please show your face, because it's better when we're together. I think Jack Johnson has a song about that, and banana pancakes, I'm not sure. Jacqueline said it's not a property pitch, but please connect her with your favorite vendors. You got an email with the details. Y'all, this is part of the 2025 affiliate program. It's going to be amazing. It is so different already. There's so much to unlock there. I won't derail the meeting with that conversation though. Respond to Jacqueline's email. She's already gotten, I don't know, 7, 10 responses overnight. So keep them coming. Speak up for your people. We're happy to have them. What's weird is I feel like only one face appeared since I said that, and usually I have a little more influence than one out of however many, but I'll keep going. How you show up in here is how you show up out there, so let's just keep that in mind. Okay, this is going to be interactive, so raise your digital hand or your visual hand, and if you can hear me, let's start with that. Who can follow instructions? Raise your hand. Okay, I see some hands. Yay, good job. If I don't see you visually, you can raise, oh, good job, Katie. Look at you. All right, so first of all, I want you to think of how many people you have in your database. Who can come off mute and tell me a number or type it in the chat? How many people do you have in your database?
756.
756. Amy Bloom. A week 200 from Melinda. Okay, some will share, some will not. The ones who share, we're going to go live through it with. So for 756, Amy, thanks for playing along. How many of them do you know and can tell us their real estate plans in 2025?
Like those that are planning to do transactions in 2025?
Or know what they want.
Yeah, so you would know because they're either in your pipeline already, right?
Oh,
Like you
okay.
might have them pending in January, or you've asked them and you know we want to sell next year or do something
I know
next
what
fall.
all 756 are doing because I talk to them all the time. So I would say that I picked up 5 at our party, maybe 14 that will transact in 25 that I know of.
Okay, so time out, and I want to make sure everyone heard what Amy just said. This was not set up, Amy, this was not set up, correct?
Correct.
She said, I know what all 756 are doing because I talk to them all the time. This is not a gotcha moment for anyone who does or does not do that. And yet she knew of the 756, 14 are definitely doing something because she asks them because she talks to them all the time. And what I want to make really clear in this moment is just because you talk to them all the time doesn't mean you necessarily ask them that question of what are your real estate plans in 2025. Person I know who's a coach for a lot of top agents said I was invited to get pies from about 100 and something agents this year, but not one of them asked me what my real estate plans are in 2025. Okay, so Amy knows her number. She knows her number of about 14 have movement already, which means her pipeline for 2025 already has 14 transactions in it before the year begins. So this is how all of us follow 4 simple steps to become top agents next year. So this isn't like whatever you're hearing, I want you to translate it into you and your business. And if at any point one of these questions you don't know the answer to, write it down and go figure out the answer for yourself. Fair? Okay. So I've been coaching to this conversation for a while, and for a while, I mean like a few weeks, right? Because it's the end of the year. What are your plans in 2025? Your number one job, the first thing you're going to do to become a top agent in 2025 is literally know that answer for every single person you have in your database. And I see some big numbers out there, over 1,000, over 2,000, 5,000, 500, 623, right? Whatever the number is, if you have a gigantic number and you're like, there's no way I'm going to know what the number is for 5,000, that's okay. Then you're going to segment your database and figure out what is the number of people who you think you should have that answer for based on being a real estate professional, right? And what I want you to think about is this. If you have them in your database, do you think you're their local real estate expert of choice? a head nod, a yes or a no, a response, thumbs up or thumbs down. If you have these people in your database, do you consider yourself to be the okay. So I saw some thumbs ups come up. So if you think you're their local real estate expert of choice, right? And you don't know what their real estate plans are in 2025, does that feel very experty to you? I'll tell you, when I heard it phrased that way, I was like, ooh, that one hurts a little bit. That's okay. We learn through the pain, right? We're either growing or we're winning. So this is a growing moment. Or you're like, oh my gosh, I know all the answers. I've got this on lock. I'm winning 100%, right? Either way, it's for good. Jacqueline shared she knows the plans for 6 over 623. Like, figure out your numbers, and that's the work I want you to be doing through this process. So if you have a dentist and you don't have an appointment with them in 2025 for a cleaning, do you have a dentist? Are they actually your person? Are they a vendor you're utilizing when you're supposed to have a cleaning once every 6 months? I'm not here to lecture you on dental hygiene or the ins and outs of it. I'm just saying I want you to shift your perspective, right? And I'm saying to shift your perspective because in many of the coaching calls I've had around this conversation, I felt a little resistance to like, you want me to ask them what? You want me to ask them what their real estate plans are in 2025? Yeah, I do. Well, that feels weird. Okay, well, let's talk about if it feels weird, because I'm going to guess some of you are having the that feels weird moment right now. I want you to think about the dentist example I'm giving, or anyone else who's your professional that you schedule yourself with, that you want them to be they are your expert in that field, right? If you are the expert for your people and your database in the field of real estate and you don't know the answer to that question, I'm just saying, are they more likely to become victim to clicking a link online, getting connected to some random agent, getting sold 16 times as an online lead, walking in a random open house? Oh my gosh, we're so happy, Alicia. We just bought a house. Aren't you happy for us? Without you. That doesn't really matter, does it? Aren't you still happy for us because it's real estate?
I've actually really had that happen, and that does not feel good at all. So don't use me as an example because I'll start swearing.
Well, and to be fair, you've been working in this industry for a while, and many people who've been working in it for a while, if you talk to enough people, you have had it happen because nobody's perfect, right? And with all the love and respect in the world, when that happens to you, it's your fault. Because you didn't teach them how to treat you. And if you don't teach them how to treat you, they don't know. They don't know. You have to say, here's what happens next. Okay, hey, and when you go to an open house this weekend, I know you're not planning on it. I know you told me you're not planning on it. However, sometimes you're out in the world and you're driving around and you see a sign or a flag or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that house was listed. Let's stop by. Honey, stop the car, right? Let's go pop in real quick. If you haven't taught them how to treat you when that happens, then it's not their fault when they go sign an agreement with someone else or go under contract with someone else. It's yours, right? So you want to have that conversation. Yes, the BRBC thing solved a lot of those problems in some capacities for us, but I want you to understand, if you don't know what the real estate plans are in 2025, with all the love and respect in the world, they're not your client. They're a name in your database. So how do you find out? First and foremost, if you have like 5,000 people, you're going to have to start where you start and figure out what your core group is that you want to begin with. And then I would say you go voice to voice, phone calls, right? You want to talk to people. Some people are like, oh my gosh, my people don't talk on the phone anymore. They only text. Okay, great. Then start texting people. If you're going to text this, you might want to send a video message, because texting it could feel a little bit like, was your phone stolen if you don't normally communicate this way? Amy, can you hear me still?
What was that?
When you do your quarterly conversations, what's the percentage of voice to voice versus texting?
Oh, it's always voice to voice. I leave a message for probably 90% of the people. There's a few people that don't want to hear from me other than texting, just based on their age group. And so I would say probably 90% is voice to voice. And they don't all answer, but I will leave a message if they don't. And the message is, hey, sorry, I missed you. You know, how are you guys doing? Da, 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 da. I'll call you again soon. Like, I don't ask for a call back most of the time, unless there's something specific I need to talk to them about. But, and I'll usually get a text reply. Thanks for the call. Sorry, I missed you. That was it.
So I wanted that live conversation because I know she actually does the work and does the quarterly calls. I know a lot of people go into resistance mode of like, people don't talk on the phone anymore. People don't actually call their database anymore. I want you to suspend all your limiting beliefs and move forward with the possibility that they do. And whatever happens next is up to you and your client to discover the best place to be in rapport with each other, up to them, but it starts with you and a phone call, right? So you're making the conversation. It goes like this. Hey, Joseph, it's Sarah. How are you? If it's a voicemail, you're going to go, listen, I was just thinking about you and realizing 2024 is coming to an end. And I'm looking at my notes and I realize I don't know your real estate plans in 2025. And I care about you as one of my clients. So what are your real estate plans in 2025? Let me let you, like, clearly there's only 5 options. You're either going to stay, and to be clear, most people are going to stay. 60% of people are going to stay, or you're going to buy, you're going to be buying something else out there in the world. You're going to sell because you want to sell and do something else. You might be investing. You might be investing in another area, in an Airbnb and something like that, or you're going to rent. So holler back at me and let me know which of those 5 things is you, because I'm here to help you grow. And I want to make sure the biggest mistake I could make here for you is that if you're relying on the media and the headlines to help guide you in your decision-making process, we could probably all agree that the headlines and the media aren't really here to help anybody. So holler back, let me know which one is you, something like that, right? The biggest piece of that is you want to ask the question because it's literally your job. You want to ask the question because it's your job. And if you care about your clients and what their plans are, you want to help them. And let's just look at the media conversation for a minute. It's easier to have this the farther away from the election we got, because when I was having this conversation during election week, it felt like the media judgment had political undertones to it. And I think it's a safe space to live in now. So,
Please do not open the envelope.
You're going to agree that in the media headlines. So what does this look like? Let me just give the live example. My mother told me, my own mother, who knows my job, was like, do you think you should buy a house this year? I don't think you should buy a house this year. I read it's really a bad time to buy a house this year. My own sister, who runs as an executive for Netflix, told me, we can't buy a house until we have 20% down. I don't know when we'll be ready. We're looking at $2 million. I'm saying those real life examples because if people are relying on the media, and if you are relying on the media and what your clients are learning from podcasts and the headlines and their friends and their cousins and their mothers and whoever to guide them on their path forward for what they're talking about doing, then I'm just going to say they might be being steered in the wrong direction, right? If someone wants to buy real estate or sell their home and make a move or go invest in something else, and they're relying on Uncle Joe to tell them, oh, interest rates are terrible, you don't want to do anything like that this year, and you don't ever have the conversation with them, and they just get shut down on what's next for them because someone else told them so, and someone else is not a real estate expert, is that their fault or your fault? It's yours again. So I want to be really loud and clear about this. You're asking what everyone's real estate needs are in 2025 because it's literally your job. And if you don't guide them, then you're not their person. And just understand that you then don't have the right to be mad when they do something without you, because you weren't actually trying to help them and guide them, because you didn't even know what they wanted to do. Okay? There's only 5 things to do. Stay, buy, sell, invest, rent. Everyone is doing one of the 5. 60% historically will stay. Go find the other 40% in there, the people who are going to do something in your database, and help them. And yes, there's no property management to be done here. Okay, so any questions, thoughts, anything on asking your database, what are your real estate plans in 2025? Has anyone done it yet? Been asking people? Mike Law, can you hear me?
What's up?
Have you been asking anybody yet?
It started yesterday.
And what'd you discover?
What did I discover? Nothing really.
Did anybody answer you, or was it weird, or?
No, I didn't ask him what's your specific plan for 2025. It's like, hey, it's been bit. What you got planned for the new year, or what you got going with the house, or I didn't really come out like, what are you doing for 2025? Are you buying, sell, invest, or staying put, you know?
Yeah.
But again, like Amy, like I'm pretty in touch with my database, right?
Mhm.
So what they replied back with is already what I had in my pipeline, already in my notes.
Yep. And Mike's someone who also has a pipeline already brewing, and this was a conversation we had. Erica West, I was also going to call on, she has a call. She doesn't know if she'll get here or not. And the reason why I was asking her as well is she was totally repulsed by the conversation when I first brought it up. And I was like, to be fair, that's literally your job. So like, let's find ways to reframe it, but understand that is your job. So if you, like, a lot of us are hesitating, and I want to be really clear, this is not, and I was born and raised Mike Ferry. This is not Mike Ferry. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? This is not that conversation. This is people who are in your database, who you already claim are your people, who may or may not have plans next year and you don't know what they are. They may or may not be making decisions to not act on their plans they want to act on because someone else is guiding them that isn't you. Understand the pathway to where we're going. Okay. So I've seen it written on social media. I did it on social media as a test for me to see if I get responses. I got responses. One person said they're buying next year. Most people said they're staying, right? So you can put it in a smart plan. You can make phone calls. You can ask people when you're seeing them on the weekend. You can talk to people at open houses when you're meeting them. And to go through the list of 5 to just make sure it all makes sense and doesn't feel gross, because if it feels gross, I never want you to feel gross in what you're doing. To go down the path of 5 is like, for some people, they might be like, I don't think we have any. Oh, totally. Most people are actually going to stay, and that might be you. The reason I'm asking is because if I don't know your plans and I'm supposed to be the person who's guiding you in real estate choices, and the media is telling you X, Y, or Z, they might be guiding you in the wrong direction. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, that makes sense, right? So make sense of it in your own brain and then just get comfortable having the conversation. Your deadline does not stop at the end of the year as January 1 hits. I want you to be really clear. Most of you with that size database should have at least 14 people in your pipeline next year already. And I'm going to guess most of you don't already have 14 closings set up in your pipeline for next year. And if you knew what everyone's goals were, you would already know that you have a pipeline of that many people. And that's the goal, right? Whether they're staying here, whether they're going local, whatever they're doing. That's step 1. Any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns before I move on to step 2? Don't be shy. I promise I won't be scarier than I already am. Okay, so number 2 is, again, simple, but maybe not easy, just like step 1, simple but not easy, right? Number 2 is create buy-side demand. And if you've been coming to Daily Sparks consistently, you've heard bits and pieces of this because I've been breaking them down in bits. But today I'm going through the whole thing in one session because it's the most important conversation we can have for your success leading into next year. So create buy-side demand. Okay, cool. What does that mean? Another thing you're telling us that I don't know what the heck to do with that. Create buy-side demand means this. We know from mortgage applications that more buy-side demand is at a 30-year low. Yay, this is uplifting. There's 30-year low buyers. Cool. What else can we do? The positive side is what I'm going to tell you next is help you actually get into the production of finding the business, not waiting for it to come to you. And to be clear, if you've been working through COVID years, post-COVID years, you went from we don't know if we're ever going to sell again to we can't stop selling so quickly. And now a lot of us just transparently forgot how to work. It's okay. Let's learn. Let's relearn again. Do the work. I tried to buy the Do the Work shirt that Gary Keller wore on stage. Apparently it's sold out everywhere. Anyway, That's what I want for Christmas. If anyone's wondering, do your job, do the work. So create buy-side demand. What does that mean? If we know that the buy-side applications for mortgages are at a 30-year low, and no, that does not include cash buyers, and I don't know all the answers. I'm just giving you the ones I know. And we know in addition to that, the household savings income, it's not income, savings dollar amount, is at a third all-time high. So it's third place for all-time high, the amount of savings dollars that households have nationally. So we know the mortgage applications are at a 30-year low, and yet the savings household-wise are third highest from all time. So does that kind of debunk the idea that people aren't buying because they don't have any money? I think so. So why aren't they buying? I'm going to be a little snarky for a second and just see rule number 1. What are their plans in 2025? They're not buying a lot of the time because they don't know what to do, and the media is telling them 1,200 different messages, and they're all confusing and don't make any sense, right? So if they're just listening to Uncle Joe at Thanksgiving dinner, and then Uncle Joe is like, oh my God, well, this actually just literally happened. So I'm referring my niece to buy something in Minnesota, and her uncle, not Joe, Christian, was over, and he said, oh, I don't think it's a good time to, is that Melinda? Hi, Melinda. I don't think it's a good time to buy, blah, blah, blah. If she listened to him, then she would not be moving forward and buying her first piece of real estate. Okay, so real life, if people don't know what to do, they're not going to take action. So if they're listening to the wrong source of information, they're not going to take action. So creating buy-side demand is getting creative with what methods your buyers can utilize to accomplish their goals. Meaning, maybe they need help with, okay, Minnesota. She's from there. She can't help it. Maybe that means is your preferred lender someone who has multiple different products that can appeal to multiple different pathways to help people buy. People will say, oh, I just moved my job. I can't buy for 2 years. Oh, I just did this. I can't buy for that. Oh, I don't have the money down. I don't know how to do that. Oh, I don't have all the money for down payment. I can't afford that yet. Oh, I don't have closing costs. You'll hear all kinds of don'ts outside of if the Padres win the World Series in 2025 that Vinny said. They're all real and important in the person's mind that's sharing it with you. What you need to have is the arsenal of information of who are the experts that can guide them to different conversations. You're not even going to get to the conversation to begin with if you aren't having the conversation of what are your plans and how can I help you, right? So to create more buy-side demand, provide solutions, right? If you know that there's new home construction out there that's offering rate buy downs or added incentives or discounted, closing costs or whatever the case might be, then you might want to bring your people to those conversations, be like, hey, if this is the only hiccup standing in our way, then what if we could solve it with this problem, right? Or, hey, have you talked to this other person, or have you considered using this, benefit, whatever the case might be. There's tons of resources out there, depending on who you're talking to and where they're looking to do it, right? So solving the lack of buyer side demand, with all the love and respect again, I think the lack of buyer side demand is because people are no longer asking their real estate person for their opinion. They're going to Google. And Google's job is not to help them make decisions in real estate. Google's job is to sell them ad clicks for the highest paid Google payers and drive them down websites that aren't you. So if your job is to help people accomplish their real estate goals and they're going to Google and not to you for questions, are you helping them at the highest level, right? So think about that in creating buy-side demand and what different ways you can look at it. And what does that mean? So as you go through and you're asking people, what are their questions? What are their goals next year? What are they doing? Anyone that you have that's in the buyer side, go deep in that conversation. Get your buyer's consult really, thorough in what's important to you. How are we doing that? Okay, where are your down payment monies coming from? What about your closing costs? Going through all the financials up front will help you see any gaps. Getting them into their credit repair conversation if they need it. Oh, I'm waiting for a raise. My niece just told me I'm waiting for a raise, so I'm not sure. We went through her financials. She doesn't need the raise to qualify. She's already qualified now. But if she didn't ask me and tell me that and I didn't ask that question, she'd be waiting until the spring. Do I know what interest rates will be in the spring? Do I know what real estate prices will be in the spring? It is not in her best interest to wait until the spring. It might end up being better off in April, but I can't tell her that today. I can only tell her what I know today. Right? Historically, waiting is not the best path forward. The sooner you own real estate, the better. Okay, that's number 2. Any questions on creating buy-side demand? Raise your hand if you can still hear me. Okay, I see some hands moving. Okay, number 3 is create clear seller expectations. Some people are like, oh, well, I don't really care about buy-side demand. I'm a listing agent. Amazing. Who's buying your listing? A buyer is, right? So it all matters, right? Maybe some of that creativity, just to backtrack for 30 seconds, is that you've talked to listing agents and you know what are the sellers willing to do to help buyers get into the property, right? There's tons of opportunities when you ask enough questions. Clear seller expectations. We have learned through stats and all the things this year that we are in micro markets all over again. Everything old is new again. Some places are selling quickly. Some places are selling with multiple offers. Some places are sitting. I think that's the fun of the real estate market, is that it's a little bit different based on where you are and you can truly be an expert in something. So creating clear seller expectations simply means that when you take a listing, you're having the conversation based on the stats, based on the comps, based on the neighborhood, based on what's happening where you are with that listing, of what to expect. Okay, Alicia, we're so excited to go live to market. And as we look at the comps together, what we want to be really clear on is the market has adjusted and this is where we are now. Whatever that looks like is what it looks like. If you share the perspective up front of like, hey, when's the last time you sold a house? The biggest thing I want you to also get used to asking your buyers and sellers is, hey, Mike, tell me, what have you been observing in the market? What are you learning from the media? Like, what's out there in your world? Right? You want to get a glimpse from them on like, where are they and what are they learning and what's their perspective for where you are like right now. Because if they're telling you, oh, well, all the houses are selling really quickly and everything's getting a million offers and blah, 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 and that's not the case in their neighborhood or at their price point, you want to make sure you can correct them up front before you're the bad person who's not doing their job at the end, when really you're just the bearer of statistics, right? Pricing strategy, all those pieces. That is going to be the most important part of creating clear seller expectations, just the reality of the fact that the market is what it is today based on where we are, and being really strong on price and condition when you go live, right? Marketing, price, condition, etc. So any questions on creating clear seller expectations? Minnesota weather, stop it. Okay, and you're like, why is that even a conversation point, Sarah? That seems insane. Sure, it might, except that if someone's used to the market of COVID, or the media's been saying inventory is super low, does that make them think that they're going to sell with 100 offers in a weekend? Or if that's what their sister did during COVID, or if that's what they did last time they sold a house a couple years ago. Yeah, so you need the reality check of like, what are they expecting? Where are they now? And what's coming forward? As long as you've done that job of setting expectations, which is always your job, that hasn't changed, then you're doing the right thing. That will set you up for ultimate success. And the last but not least, okay, and this one, I'm just going to say it now. You're going to be like, I'm hanging up the call. I don't want to hear this anymore. This is annoying. That's okay. I love to be annoying to people. I'm really good at it. How can you accomplish your goal? I said a quote yesterday and I wrote it down. There's no dots to connect in conversations you don't have. And listen, my mama heart was so stinking happy when Nikki said that was her takeaway from the Daily Spark that Nancy was playing in the office. There's no dots to connect in conversations you don't have. Why are you telling me this right now? And you said it yesterday. Yep. I'm going to sound like a broken record for the rest of the month, probably through the middle of 2025. It's okay. Because we're trying to solve problems with pills and speed and leads online, not speed like drugs, like speed to lead, that kind of like, sell me the leads and let me get where I'm going, versus doing the work. And the quote I heard, a different quote I heard this morning from a coach in our call was, I write these things down because they're just that important. Creative avoidance. We don't have a productivity problem. We are all stuck in creative avoidance. And we are waiting for people to call us, and we're waiting for people to raise their hands because they know I'm a real estate agent. Duh, if they needed something, they would reach out, obviously, right? And I just want you to consider for a moment, it's the end of 2024. Yes, you still might have closings in December. Yes, you could still technically put something into contract and close it this month if it was super fast. However, most of your business for the year is closed. You should be very clear on what your pipeline is right now and what you're adding to it. And I just want you to think about, did I have the year I was hoping I would have? Did I have the year I planned on having? Have I hit all my goals? Am I winning at all the things? And this time last year, this is exactly how I hoped I would feel today. For some people, the answer is yes, just so you know. Some people have actually had their best year ever and they're winning. And those people are not waiting on creative avoidance to solve their problems. They're having the conversations and communicating. So all that build up, because what I say next will totally freak some of you out. That's okay. Let's just shine a light in the dark place together. Consider for a moment, what if you were to have a meeting, a conversation with a buyer or a seller every day? I don't even do that once a month. Okay, well, let's talk about that offline. And when I say buyer or seller, I don't mean someone who's signed a BRBC yet. No, I'm not breaking the rules. No one has to plug their ears, Broker Bob. And it's not a seller who you didn't sign a listing agreement for. It's people who are in the world of real estate who intend on transacting at some point in the next, awesome if it's 12 months, right? But where's your pipeline come from? Amy just told us at the beginning she's got 14 people who are closing business next year. Who else wishes they would end the year with 14 closings? The year hasn't even started yet, right? So what I want you to consider is if you are talking to enough people who are looking to buy or sell something in real estate at some point in time, sometimes people say that's like the coffee conversations, right? Don't overthink this. Get into conversations daily with people who are looking to do something in the world of real estate at some point in time. It's going to be most people, just to be clear. The more you talk to people, the more you will have these conversations, the more ability you will have to connect dots for people and put things together. And the better you're going to get at conversations in general, at bridging gaps for people, at creative solutions, at introducing what's possible, right? There's so much that will come from it. You won't even believe what happens. Then you have the referrals and the compound effect of like exponential growth on the other side. Why is it a conversation a day? Well, before we dive into it, and yes, we're totally going to end on time, I want you to consider this. It's what I said about the speed and not the drugs, speed and pills, no. The magic pills and the speed to lead. We're addicted to immediate gratification. And the reality is this is a communication business. So the more I can get you to communicate, the more success you will have, period, end of story, right? One of the best agents 110,000 years ago literally just called through the phone book as if it was his lead source. And he did the Mike Ferry, who that wants to buy, sell, whatever, real estate forever through the phone book. He made a ton of business because when you don't care and you call the people, you'll get results, right? I want you to do both. I want you to care and to talk to people that you actually care about and get results, right? So I'm going to simplify what I just said, because for some of us, we're like, oh my gosh, that's insane. I can't talk to someone every day. That's not for me. I can't hear you anymore. And what I want you to think of is we're only going to do that 40 weeks of the year. So you just got 3 months off in 2025. Who's happy for 3 months off next year? 3 months off and you're living your best life and you're closing all the deals you want. So now are you open-minded to having conversations? If you know you can take 3 months off and have a joyful, amazing life, and probably not all at the same time, maybe scattered throughout the year, right? But when you're doing one conversation a day, that will lead to 200 meetings throughout the year. If you're doing one a day, 5 days a week, 40 weeks of the year, that's 200 conversations throughout the year. Say only 50% of those convert into something, right? That's 100 conversions into potential business that are happening. And then say only 50% of those actually come into closed business. That's 50 closings. That all started with a simple conversation with someone and getting 3 months off. So who wants 50 closings next year and 3 months off and to go have conversations and coffee dates with people or golf or whatever your preferred conversation place is? And that's the reframing I want you to have. That's the fourth step in the 4 steps to success. Ask your entire database, what are your real estate plans in 2025? It's actually my job to know. I'm so sorry I haven't asked you yet. Please forgive me. Create buy-side demand by getting creative and knowing opportunities and options for people. New home construction, your lender knows all sorts of products available. Your sellers are willing to buy down rates or offer closing costs, whatever the case might be, in concessions. Create clear seller expectations for people who are selling their home and what that process will look like and what it should look like going forward. And then last but not least, have a meeting a day with a buyer or a seller every day, only 5 days a week. So it's not every day. And it's only for taking 3 months off still. So it's 200 meetings throughout the year. I don't care how you get there. I promise all of you, if you went out and your goal was 200 meetings to start the year and you took the rest of the year off, you would crush your business in 2025. I hope you learned something today. I hope you're not totally offended by my words. I actually kind of hope you are, because then you'll be annoyed and maybe you'll do something with it. But either way, I will not sit back and let us love you out of the business or let us not drive you into production as quickly as possible, because we are selling about 3.9 convicted maybe. We're going to be closing around 3.9 million transactions this year. It should only go up a hair next year, but it should go up a hair prediction wise, although they predicted the same thing this year and we're at 3.9. And a couple of years ago it was 6 million. So it does feel different. And yet just because the opportunity is less doesn't mean your opportunity is less. Go follow those 4 simple steps. I'm so proud of you all. Nancy has prizes to give away. Nancy, take it away.
All right, you guys, I get to have the fun part of the meeting. Okay. So we are going to have a giveaway now. So here's what I want you to do. Have on your phone, the phone number, the office phone number, 619-233-5935. And we have a $50 voucher for you today. And the only thing you have to do is take a screenshot of, guess what? Your contacts in command. The associate who has the most contacts, which, I mean, Amy threw in there 756 earlier on the call. The agent with the most contacts will get a $50 voucher. So this is your time to submit your screenshots to the number I provided you with, 619-233-5935. And we will announce the lucky winner in a few minutes on Facebook. You're muted, Sarah.
Thank you all for your time and attention today. RSVP to the gingerbread house building part and the Christmas party part. Go to Robert's class to add your contacts to command and learn what the heck to do with them. Because if you have 100 contacts, you're going to get 6 more closings next year. Between what he'll teach you and what I went through today, y'all should be closing out 2024 with so much goodness and readiness to be amazing in 2025. But the reality is it starts now. Your January closings are in effect now. So what do you have in your pipeline? Are you ready to hit your goals? Where are we? Reach out with any questions you have from today's conversation, and don't forget to text that number, and then look out on social media for Nancy's amazing reels of magic for today's winner.
Somebody already submitted 1,326. I'm not going to say the name, so beat the number, please. All right. Bye, everyone.
Doodles.